Hello from NBAA Base. I'm Joe Anselmo, and I am here with Gary Geisen, the president and CEO of Wisk. Gary, you guys just had a big unveiling a couple of weeks ago in California. After 12 years and I think about 1,600 test flights, you unveiled the model you're ready to certify. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a new aircraft. The aircraft that's behind me is our 5th generation aircraft, and what we introduced is our 6th gen, which is larger. It's 50-foot wingspan, 4 seats, all electric, self-flying, which means that there is no pilot in the cockpit, there are no controls, the pilot's on the ground.
Garrett Ream wrote a very detailed story on all that in the latest issue of Aviation Week and Space Technology. But you guys are really shooting for the moon. I mean, we have a couple of these eVTOL ventures looking to fly next year. You're going to go pilotless, at least no pilot on board, right from the start.
That's right. First of all, I don't expect anyone in the space to fly next year from a market perspective, but they'll fly sooner than we will with our self-flying concept, and that's okay with us because we know we're on the right answer. We know it's a safer answer, and it might take a little bit more to get certified, but for this market to scale, we believe, and everybody else has stated, that you got to go to self-flying.
You have a very powerful ally in your partner, Boeing, who's invested in Wisk. Mark Allen, senior executive at Boeing, spoke here yesterday at NBAA, and he talked about autonomy sort of flowing down into the business aviation sector. How does Wisk fit into the business aviation sector, and where do you see your autonomy, applying to that?
Sure. So that twofold answer to that. So first of all, we're building autonomy with Boeing. So Boeing is a co-development partner with us. And so all those learnings, the technology, this, that, and the other thing, it's shared between us and Boeing. So they are free to use that sort of technology across their portfolio. Second, from a business perspective, we're taking the short hop flights, 10 to 25 minutes, if you will, in a very dense city. So pick your LA, New York, Mumbai, London, pick your busiest cities across the globe, and that's the target for us. That's the use case, and we're going to fly people from point A to point B in about 10 to 15 minutes.
And Wisk and Boeing sort of unveiled or gave some more detail on your autonomy roadmap a couple weeks ago. You want to tell us what that involves?
Yeah, so this is a system, and so it's not just about the aircraft. It is the software that goes along with it. It's the avionics, of course, but it's the system that stitches together. So for full self-flying, you need the right sensor technology in the aircraft and on the ground. You need to integrate into the airspace. You need communications and triple redundant communications to make sure you always have a communication line with the aircraft. And then you have infrastructure. Where do you fly? Where do you take off from? You have electric charging infrastructure. So all of that is a system. So our concept of operations stitch together all those different things in terms of how would somebody book a trip, how would they get to their flight, how would they, from once they land, how do they get to actually where they want to go? And so that whole system is what we're working on.
Okay. And we're looking here at a Generation 5 vehicle, right? This has already done flight tests.
Yeah, that's great. This is, actual aircraft. It's gone through hundreds of flights. And we've got 9 full-scale aircraft that we've been testing since 2017. We started doing flight tests, so we've been at this quite a while. The company started back in 2010 with Larry Page and some different ideas, in terms of can you make something that takes off vertically, flies like a fixed-wing aircraft, and lands vertically.
So the FAA has not certified any eVTOL aircraft yet, and you're asking them to certify one without a pilot. I mean, why bite off so much at the beginning?
Because first of all, it's going to be a safer mode of transportation. So a lot of people don't realize today 93% of pilot functions are automated already. And so we're taking that last step. But most of the time the pilot is actually just, sitting in the cockpit, and it's a comfort factor. But to scale this, to get pricing down to something that is like UberX pricing, $3 per passenger mile, you can't have a pilot in the cockpit. You can't have that extra cost and the extra weight. You've got to have revenue-generating seats. And so, safety is one. There's going to be a safer way of transport. I don't know if you fly or not, but you're trying to visually detect a target with your human eyes. It is really hard to do. And so we're going to be sensor outfitting the aircraft and the ground to be able to detect threats. And then from a scale perspective, if we can get the price down to $3, then anybody can afford it. So a college student can afford it, somebody that has just entered the workforce. That's where you really get scale. Otherwise, it's going to be a premium, high-end service.
Got it. Last question for you. When am I going to be able to fly on these things?
Yeah, so it will be, I'll just say years, but the answer is when the FAA and EASA certify it. And so we don't go out and predict a specific year when we're going to fly, because actually we do our part to build the aircraft and the operation and the production system, but the FAA and EASA have to certify. And so it's up to them. It's not up to us.
This decade?
Yes.
Okay. Gary, thanks so much for your time. Have a great show.
All right, Joe. Thank you.